Hello and welcome to this 19th episode of Living Off the Grid in the City with your host again, Hector Vladimir. Today is the 10th of December 2015.
Updated May 10th, 2024.
A very important topic, technological topic of water heaters. Water heaters are a set of technologies that are very vital and critical to anyone attempting to get off the grid, especially in the more temperate zones of the world, and the northern regions of the world and southern regions, those sitting outside of the tropics and subtropics. Most areas here in the United States, apart from the deep south. Water heats, as I have discussed in an earlier show, is among the top 5 power hogs, meaning they are one of the top consumers in the home of any household. And in general, in the United States, water heating is a top user of power. Many kinds of power, whether it's electric, heat energy, and even alternative energies. There are maybe more, but there are about 4 main types of water heaters that are common in most households. The most popular one, interestingly, by far, is the tanked electric water heater. By the way, there are tankless water heaters now available in the market. Electric water heaters are the most popular type out of about 4 types. Gas water heaters, meaning natural gas, are another popular type of water heater. LP, or liquid propane gas water heaters. The other type of water heater is, of course, the tankless types, which include electric, gas, and LP. Another type is the solar heat collector water heater. And the last type is the geothermal type water heater. Before I discuss these different types of water heaters and how these technologies can help you get off the grid, I want to mention a point that I have mentioned many other times before in other shows, and that is the point of conservation. Before you attempt to widen your horizons with alternative energies, before you attempt to delve into any alternative energy technologies, I highly recommend that you
Conserve
and look for ways to cut back on the current energy use you have. I highly suggest for you to consider and reflect on your energy use. Are you really as efficient as you can be before you begin to start to switch to alternative energy technologies? This is highly recommended because, as I said before, it will save you money. It will save you a lot of effort.
it will
Allow you to keep it relatively simple. It will allow you to make the switch without frustration and without aggravation, or at least not as much. So it can make all the difference whether you attempt to switch to alternative energies with your current power consumption habits, or if you try to minimize your power consumption. It can make a huge difference. It can make the difference between you choosing to go off the grid or not. Attempting to switch to alternative energies, even if you don't change your power consumption habits, is a step in the right direction. It is by far better than not doing anything about attempting to change the system as it is, attempting to get off the grid-tied system. There are various and many advantages of doing this, and there are many harmful consequences in remaining bonded to this grid-tied system. So, to discuss the types of electric water heaters, the first type of water heater, electric. Good old electric water heater that is so popular among American homes here. Like I said, it's a extreme power hog. If you understood just a bit how it works, you would understand why this is so. Most American homes have at least a 40-gallon. The average is about 40 gallons of water collected in a tank within a water heater. And this cold ambient temperature water, as it is naturally, needs to be heated to over 100 degrees, well over that for the most part. In most circumstances, is over 140 degrees that is heated to Fahrenheit, that is. And even though that's not quite boiling temperature, which is closer to
212 Fahrenheit,
100 degrees Celsius, it is still quite a bit of temperature, and temperature requiring a lot of energy to produce in water.
I believe it to be that
Water is among the hardest substances to heat up, to have it raise its temperature. To boil water takes a tremendous amount of energy, heat energy, which must come from somewhere. Electrical energy is the source for electrical water heaters that generate all that heat, and it does take many dozens of amperes to generate temperatures above 150 degrees Fahrenheit. It could take up to 6,000 watts of continuous power to go ahead and heat up water, which is heated by an element, a piece of metal, a metal coil made of,
I believe it to be nickel chromium alloy, or iron chromium aluminum alloy, or molybdenum disilicide, or silicon carbide,
which heats up through the current or electrons flowing through it to a red hot state, which is very hot. And for this heat to occur, there needs to be a tremendous amount of current going through that coil, which of course comes out of your total electric energy use and is directly translated to your power bill. It does take a tremendous amount of energy to heat up water. That's why your electric water heater is among the top energy users in your home, if not the top energy user. Probably only apart from your air heating, which is usually also electric and also does employ an electric heating element, just like the water heater. Most water heaters, again, are set to about
140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius.
A lot of people like to take sauna type long showers. And the longer you use this hot water, the more energy it takes to keep it hot. Remember that 40 to 60 gallons of water that's constantly in the tank is being replenished with cool water coming from your tap. And this cool water cools the warm water that's already in the tank, thus kicking that element on again, attempting to heat up this water in this tank, keep it to the set temperature. So if you have it
set to 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius,
it's going to try to keep that water
to that set temperature
constantly. So that element is going to come on as needed throughout the day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, to keep that water at that temperature. That's why if you do have an electric water heater, I highly recommend that you set it up
to 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius.
Again, you have to consider your energy use habits, and one thing to do is to go ahead and lower that energy, that heat setting, because do you really need to take that hot shower at
140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius?
Not for the most part, not unless you're trying to disinfect something or sterilize something. A good rule of thumb to see if your water heater is too hot: if you have to turn up your cold water to mix it with your hot water so it can be at a temperature that's comfortable for you to take a shower, your water heater is set too hot. You should only be able to, if you want to be as efficient as possible, you should just turn on your hot water valve and that's it. The water temperature coming out of the hot only water valve should be at a temperature comfortable enough for you to take a shower with. If not, then you have to lower it. That's if you want to be as efficient as possible. Once you're as efficient as possible and you want to still increase your efficiency through alternative energies, that's when you need to consider other types of water heaters, especially the non-electric types. If you are adamant about keeping electric, if you just can't do without electric, the next best thing to do is go tankless. A tankless water heater doesn't have a tank full of water to keep at a constant hot temperature. That by itself is a power saver, since when you're not at home or no one's using the hot water, that water heater is not attempting to keep that water within that tank to a hot temperature. A tankless water heater works with the water going through a series of piping, which is usually molded in a serpentine fashion, and it goes through the heating elements, which heat the water as it goes through those. The water goes through, and at the same time, it goes through hot pipes heated by heating elements. And as it goes through, it instantly heats it, and it comes out of your faucet warm or hot. I believe you can adjust the heating setting on those
electric tankless water heaters,
so you can even be more efficient with an
electric tankless
water heater. I have learned that those do use an extreme amount of wattage to run. When they do come on, whenever you turn on your faucet, they're activated as soon as you turn on your faucet. By the way, one of the disadvantages of those is that you don't have that warm water instantly. You have to usually let some water run out of the pipes, so cool water clears from the pipes and then warm water starts kicking in. So it's not quite as instant as your conventional water heater, which has warm water available more readily and a bit quicker. If you want to be even more efficient and more energy conscious, I would highly recommend you go with a gas water heater, whether it's tanked or tankless. A gas water heater has the advantage of not using electric power, meaning that you can use alternative energies such as solar and wind without having to worry about covering your water heating needs or power through alternative energies, which would require a vast amount of solar panels or a very large wind turbine, not to mention the very large battery bank that would be required to run a water heater, even a medium one. So it is highly recommended you get the water heating off electric if at all possible. That is, if you're planning to get off the grid. Gas water heaters also have the advantage of enabling you to control your energy use a lot better.
You can control
how much energy you use with those. You can turn those off when you're not at home, even though you can still do those with electric, but it's a lot easier to control your power costs with gas, especially with LP. Because with LP, you buy your own gas and store it, and you use it, and basically you know how much gas you've used, and that's how much gas you pay for. Unlike the power company and even the natural gas company, you have very little control over their power rates, even how much power they charge you for. It is widely reported that people do not really get charged exactly for the power they use. As I have mentioned in several other shows, you usually do get charged more than the power that you actually use. And this is not even including the power that just leaks out from your home. This is not even taking that into account.
I believe it to be that many of us are
paying as a community to cover for the power companies' very high cost for maintenance and their inefficiencies and waste.
Many of us are
paying for all those. So going back to my point about water heaters, gas water heaters could be tanked water heaters. I highly recommend that you consider LP tanked water heaters. You can have those installed by a company. You can attempt to install those yourself if you feel comfortable doing that. Water heaters are not too hard to put in if you are attempting to do it yourself. Gas water heaters do need ventilation. They do need a way for gases to exit your home if you do install them inside of your home or inside of an enclosed area. So make sure you consider that. You may have to go through your roof, a wall.
Installing gas water heater ventilation may include piping work and venting through walls, your roof, and or ceiling.
You could install those
tanked gas water heaters
or attempt to install those outside, have some way of covering it. Those cannot get rained on for the most part. They would need to be under cover from rain. So an indoors or enclosed area is best for
tanked gas water heaters.
You have to consider also that those will need a gas line, whether it's for natural gas or LP, and those do increase the chance of fire and toxic fumes entering a living area or enclosed area. Do consider that, and for placement and location of those, do consider that there may be a leak at some point, a gas leak. Look at your local regulations for those. Make sure you follow those to the letter, because it can be a life or death situation, a safety issue there. Natural gas water heaters are also a good alternative, a good replacement for a electric water heater. They may cost about the same, sometimes more depending on the rates in your area, but they have the advantage of getting that water heat off of your electric, and again enabling you to use your electric through alternative energy means and enabling you to get off the grid and disconnect your power company. If you keep your water heater with electric, it's going to be a lot harder, and you may not be able to cover that with, for example, solar panels or wind generated energy, and you may remain bonded to your power company. which is a huge step in getting off the grid. Another way to conserve, going back to the conservation point, is to lower or downsize your water heater size. You may not really need that
big 60-gallon
water heater. You can go to a 40, even smaller gallon water heater, maybe a 30-gallon water heater, and that will save you energy very substantially. Tankless water heaters of the LP type are one of the most
energy efficient options
that you have for water heating. Tankless water heaters, again, do not have to keep a reservoir of water heated to your desired temperature, whether it's 100,
140 degrees Fahrenheit,
etc. As they heat the water just flows through the heater itself. So a tankless water heater is not constantly running, and it uses gas and fire to heat up the water as the water flows through the serpentine piping within the heater. It uses the hot gases of the fire that's achieved by using the gas and some type of spark mechanism. And these hot gases also need ventilation, so installing it outside or with good ventilation is a necessity. It is a requirement. You have to also consider the location of it if you do put it indoors, and consider the potential of a gas leak, poisonous gases. There's a safety concern with those that you have to consider very seriously.
Hello?
So there are other types of water heaters that are not electric or gas.
Hello?
These are solar or heat collecting water heaters. They basically collect radiation from the sun and, using the greenhouse effect, heat up the air or the fluid necessary to heat up the water. These can be easily built if you have the means to do so.
Hello?
As I have mentioned before, they're nothing but a box with a clear covering which would face the sun. This box is sealed and there is tubing within this box. The sunlight enters the box through the clear material, whether it's plexiglass or glass. The radiation enters its surface and heats the air or fluid inside of this box is heated up, and the heat is trapped and multiplied as sunlight continues to enter this box. And this heat is thermically transferred to the tubing or pipes that hold the water, thus heating up that water and in turn becoming a solar water heater.
Hello? Hello?
There are various models you can purchase that are professionally manufactured. Those are rather expensive relatively, but they are a very excellent option there if you're able to afford that technology. The installation for those is a bit complicated and involved. That's for the manufactured ones, so you may need to hire a professional or team to come out and put those in or put that water heater in for you.
Hello?
Nevertheless, this technology is well worth the investment, especially if you live in an area with plenty of sunlight. Do consider that if you're able to afford such technology. It could be in the several $1,000s to purchase one of these items, plus probably another $1,000 to $1,500 to get it installed. So that's something to consider.
Hello?
The last piece of technology I would like to discuss today is the good and very reliable geothermal water heating system. This system is quite involved and complicated, and it does require very skilled labor to install. There is digging that would be needed near the home, and it does not work in all areas. Your area may have bedrock underground, it may have water, it may have other items or materials that could prevent the installation of this system. So do your homework and do some research about geothermal. Geothermal, again, is probably more expensive and resource intensive than any other water heating system, but it is nevertheless a very real alternative and one that can work for you depending on your area and economic means.
Hello?
This has been a show about water heating. I may have mentioned water heaters and water heating technologies in other shows, but this is a very important topic I wanted to go ahead and cover in a bit more detail. Water heating is, again, a very important part of attempting to get off the grid, allowing you to get the water heating off of the electric and more into your hands, more under your control with alternative energies, whether it is LP gas, natural gas, or tankless water heaters, or even some of the more exotic ones like solar heat collector water heating and geothermal water heating. Removing the water heating from your electric energy use will enhance very significantly your chances of getting off the grid altogether. That is the utilities grid. So please do consider alternative energies for water heating, and I hope to attract your attention on our next show. Thank you very much. This has been episode number 19 for Living Off the Grid in the City. Have a great day. Bye.
Hello. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please look for the next episode soon, and please ensure to share this with your friends and family. And please like this content and subscribe as a sign of support and for me to continue to provide this type of content to more people like you. Lastly, if you wish to support this content further, please visit the links provided in this publication. Thank you.